Hi there, everyone. Welcome to a new series that I'm going to be starting, which is Movies I Have Yet to See. Title may change. But this series is about movies that I have yet to see or that I have just recently seen and that I kind of want to talk about them. And this first one is actually one that my husband has been kind of pushing me to watch because he is a big fan of the fandom. And that is, I finally got around to watching Star Wars New Hope. Now, for people who were like me, who had only heard about Star Wars, New Hope is actually the first Star Wars movie that was ever shown to people. And it is technically the fourth movie in the Star Wars series. And the reason I preface this is because of the fact that it was made back in the 70s. And for anyone who doesn't know what it's about, let me just give you a brief summary because honestly, this series, I definitely felt like okay, I felt like they could have done some of this with one movie, but neither here nor there. New Hope follows three different characters. You have Luke Skywalker, who is he's like a hydration farm boy. Every time I heard about Luke, they all called him a farm boy, but I didn't understand the context. But now I understand that. But his family that he's been living with is his uncle and his aunt, if I remember correctly. And he ends up getting kind of pulled into this mystery when he runs across two robots named C-3PO and R2-D2. And he ends up getting mixed up with Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is a former Jedi. He's still a Jedi, but he's old and the Jedi are basically gone as far as I know. And that leads us to our secondary character, and that is Leia. Leia is a princess of... I can't remember the fucking planet. It starts with an A. It shows how much I was paying attention to that particular part. But because she's shown briefly in the beginning, and then she more shows up towards like the mid to end, I didn't really get an impression of her. Of course, I know who plays her. I'll talk about the cast towards the end. But with Leia... Ew. I'll get all my impressions of all the characters also towards the end, but Leia is basically a rebel princess and has been trying to stop the Empire, which is like Darth Vader and the Emperor, basically stop them from destroying the universe or galaxy, whichever one you want to call it. Then that leads Luke, who wants to save Leia, who's in the clutches of Darth Vader, to find Han Solo, who is a smuggler with his Chewbacca, or Chewie. I still don't remember what he was called. But Han is a smuggler who owes money to another character named Jabba the Hutt, who's this big slug-looking person. And they end up going off, and through a bunch of events, they end up destroying what's called the Death Star, which is the Empire's new like station. I can't really call it a ship because it doesn't really act as a ship. It acts more like a station. And they end up destroying it. Then woo, movie ends, and we all go from there. Now here's my impressions. Luke started off as very much a doe-eyed character, and honestly, I definitely get the sense that the three movies, the 4, 5, and 6, are definitely Luke's story. Because he seems to be like the main focus of it. And he does do the majority of the changing from the story. I found him to be the most like interesting as far as who he is. But again, it's only the first part. It's probably like Act 1 Luke, really. It's like, yeah, he's changed, but he hasn't had all that character growth yet. So he still has some time. Leia, I loved Leia when I didn't see before I saw the movie because I thought it's like, yay, warrior princess. And then when I actually saw her in it, I was like, I'm not sure if I got that same impression. Yeah, she is a tough cookie, but she has a lot of, like, how do I put this? Okay, if you've seen the movie Spaceballs, which is a spoof off of Star Wars, the character Princess Vespa acts very superior and very, like, condescending towards Morningstar, which is the Han Solo equivalent. Even though technically Morningstar acts both as Han Solo and Luke, but that's beyond the point. But the way she acts is very similar to how Leia acts. She acts very superior, and it's like, I understand where she's coming from because she's had to kind of do everything on her own, and it's like, this is beneath me. I need to actually get this done myself. Because asking you for help is not going to get anything done, so I might as well do it myself, kind of thing. But she had this kind of, like, condescension tone to what she was saying, and that may have just been me. More than likely it was just me. But that's kind of the impression I got. She did seem to genuinely care about Luke, which is hilarious if you, like me, know that Luke and Leia are supposed to be brother and sister. There was a lot of scenes where it looked like they were trying to add some romantic tension between Luke and Leia, and I'm like, they didn't know. I don't think they knew. Because there's a famous picture of Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker, and Leia, who's played by Carrie Fisher, finding out that Luke and Leia were actually brother and sister, and they are shocked. So this movie kind of plays like they didn't know that information, which is hilarious. And then we get to Han Solo. Honestly, Han was the one that I really didn't like. I love morally great characters, but he was just such an unwavering douchebag, honestly. I just didn't like him at all. And me and my husband actually had a big conversation about the canteen scene, if you know what I'm talking about. It's the whole thing of whether or not Han shot first or Guido shot first. And I know there's a big dissension about who is the one who actually started it. My personal belief is they shot at the same time, but Guido was doing a warning shot while Han intended to kill. Nutshell. That's basically what my belief is. But when it comes to Han Solo, I know that he ends up getting with Leia. That's pretty common knowledge. And I will say that it was very delicious, like, fighting between the two of them. And it was very much like, if you watch Spaceballs, you'll see that same kind of dissension between the two of them. But honestly, I couldn't handle Han in how he was played. And I just recently found out, prior to filming this, I found out that Harrison Ford, who plays Han Solo, actually didn't like playing Han Solo. Even though that's the role that one of the roles he's most known for, other than Indiana Jones. So it's like, kind of shows, just a little bit. But I will give it credit. It does have a 11th hour flip of Han helping, but I felt like it needed a little bit more. It's like, there wasn't like a character jump. It was very abrupt. But again, first in a trilogy of movies, so I'll see how I feel about the second one. I don't remember what the second one's called, but eventually I'll get to it. But then, as you're all aware of the actors, Harrison Ford is Han Solo, Mark Hamill, who is Luke Skywalker, and of course Carrie Fisher as Leia. When it comes to these three actors, I've seen less of Carrie Fisher in movies, or as far as I know, I haven't seen her in very many movies. I might try and look up more of her filmography to see what other things she's in that I may not be aware of. I've seen very little with Harrison Ford, mostly because I'm not a big fan of Harrison Ford's body of work. I have seen bits and pieces of Indiana Jones, but again, not really my shtick. But I will say that I am a huge fan of Mark Hamill, but that is mostly because of his portrayal as Joker in Batman, in various incarnations of Batman. And I think he is phenomenal as an actor. And just love Mark Hamill. He is so funny. Little side note on Star Wars. I can see why people really like it. I still don't entirely understand why people like it over Star Trek, but that's neither here nor there. I'm a diehard Trekkie, so the ever-present war of which one is better, it's like, there's no need. Just enjoy science fiction. You don't have to fight over it. But anyway, that's all I really have to say. One little point, though, is that I will be trying to do reviews of both movies, books, and possibly video games on this channel, so be aware that that might also be on Wednesdays. I will see how kind of things go from there. All right? So I thank you all for watching, and I do have a special project I will be posting up in the next few days. Not sure when, but be on the lookout for that. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!